Hey guys, I got the 4Runner here. I know this is the same outfit I'm wearing from the last video. It's just me going over. I just did the timing belt. That went well. We're on about maybe 1,200 mile road trip in somewhere where I don't want you to be. And we're testing out the shocks. So here it is. All right, you can see stock 4Runner. We are testing out the Bilstein 5100s. We got front shock there, front shock here, and then from the inside, you can barely see, but we are running the factory coils. So this would be the factory replacement on your 4th gen 4Runner, and I wanted to do a test because I've heard these are the shocks to go with to kind of do it all. And in the rear, we also have the 5100s. Oh wait, you can't see it from there. Right there. It looks great, but does it perform? And is it worth the hype? So you're looking about, at least from the time that I bought this in 2024, they are just short of 550 bucks. And I wanted to do this test because I wanted to do a build that did not modify any of the geometry of the 4Runner. This is at its stock perch on the 4Runner. As I said, I didn't lift it. I didn't try to go up in height. Factory, you got my brand new CV axles, 5th gen, and no diff drop. Let's see how it does and where it can take us so that you can see what this 4Runner was built for. So the main idea for this build is not to actually be a build. I want it to perform just the way that Toyota intended it to be, with slight modifications. And some of those slight modifications are 5th gen CV axles, which are direct replacement of stock ones, but also the Bilstein 5100s. These ones came with Tokiko's stock, and I know the 5th gen came with the Bilstein 5100s. So with that in mind, I knew that that was going to be a good replacement for this car, because if they went with OEM manufactured Bilstein 5100s on the 5th gen, that should be a good replacement for this one. There's been research done. So I hope this surprises me, because I'm about to go embark on this 100-mile journey-ish, and all of it's dirt. I'll also report back to you how it feels on the road to show you kind of, okay, how much more of a difference between the stock setup and the Tokikos that came with this and the Bilstein 5100s. The only thing you want to keep in mind though, my 4Runner had 316,000 miles, or 311 when I bought it. I drove it 300 to up to 317 miles with blown shocks and absolutely hated the ride, which is why I went with the Bilstein 5100s. And I wanted to keep it budget friendly. So with being budget friendly and how it's actually intended to be sold in its factory form, here's what it looks like. Okay, so I'm at the end of my journey. As you can see, my family's in there eating. I'm outside filming videos. You could see that the 4Runner is absolutely caked in red mud. So it's been a little bit under 100 miles off-road. How did the Bilstein 5100s perform? I think they performed way better than I expected. And to be honest with you, I've owned 2.5s on my Fox 2.5s on my FJ Cruiser. I've also owned Icon 2.5s with my Toyota Tacoma 2nd gen, and my first time really with the Bilstein 5100s outside of my brother's truck that I haven't really taken off road. He has, and so I haven't really had much experience with the Bilsteins, and I don't know why I didn't go with that with the FJ nor the Tacoma, but I didn't have a choice on the Tacoma. That one was already built how it was, and yeah, it performed great. And even with under 100 miles of off-roading, there was no shock fade, maybe because they're brand new. But yeah, no issues, no rattling. With my OEM ones, I would definitely rattle a ton. And because it is factory replacement shocks for this 4th gen, and on the 5th gen, it came in stock with the higher off-road trim options. That's why I went with it. And it was a great choice because honestly, it rides really great and I had no issues. And where a trail, I had a 3rd gen 4Runner actually on the same trail, came up with me. Well, came up the same time I did. And he backed out of the trail, did not do the full loop. I did the full loop. And he was all pimped out with crazy suspension. Looked like 2.5s in the front and 2.0s in the back on his 3rd gen, and he ended up not finishing it with really aggressive mud terrain tires. And I'm out here with factory replacement shocks that are caked on and slightly aggressive highway terrain tires. So which just goes to show you don't need a ton of money to go on an adventure. You pretty much just need 4-wheel drive, if that, and you could see the snow. There was definitely a lot of cakey sections where you had the red mud slippage action going on, but with factory 4-wheel drive, factory tires, factory suspension, this was quote-unquote rated as high clearance 4-wheel drive only, and the 4Runner did just fine. So I hope this encourages you, because the Bilstein 5100s are not that expensive. They're less than $1,000. I got mine for about $600 brand new. I would not buy used. I would buy used maybe 2.0s, but honestly, with these brand new for $500, you can almost replace them really easily if they start showing fade the older that they get, right? Because you're looking at maybe $150 a corner. And so with that, it just makes it super easy. I also had a choice with going with 6112s. What I didn't like about the 6112s was you weren't able to rebuild the 6112s. That was a big factor for me. So it's almost, once they're done, you gotta replace it. That's another $1,200 right there. And if I was gonna go that route, I might as well go with something that was replaceable, which would be the 2.5s. And at that money range, I'm paying more for the suspension than I got this truck for. So it made sense for me to do the Bilstein 5100s. And after this long journey, I'm so glad I did, because that performance that I got from this, the Bilstein 5100s versus the experiences I've had with my FJ, with the 2.5s, my Tacoma with the 2.5s, both, Tacoma had Icon, the FJ had Foxes. This performed probably not that much less, and it's a whole lot less money. So don't go for the image of the vehicle, right? And I think what played into it was I kept that front suspension on its stock height, because it's low to the ground. It makes it really nice and easy to drive, and it feels like a car. It's made to handle that way, at that level. I'm not having to have much of an angle on my CV axles, which would increase the life of it. But also, this is how Toyota made it. It's made to be at this height. So Yeah, great job, Toyota, for making such a great vehicle. If I was you and I was debating on what kind of suspension you would go with, and I've experienced a few, I would just go with the Bilstein 5100s. From now on, I'm pretty much sold on that, unless you're going rock crawler status. But most of everybody's needs is Bilsteins. Don't buy the look. You want to buy what is good for you and that's going to get you more out there. And that's not more money on the truck, but spending more time out seeing these kind of stuff.